Have you ever mapped out the perfect plan for your life, promised yourself you'd finally start tomorrow, and then watched tomorrow slip away? You feel capable, maybe even highly ambitious, but you remain paralyzed by the friction of actually starting. Consider the case of a young farmer. He owns the largest, most fertile plot of land in his village, and he harbors massive dreams of accumulating immense wealth. Yet he produces absolutely nothing. He spends his mornings boasting to anyone who will listen about his future golden harvests and the prestige he'll soon command. But by midday, while his peers are sweating under a scorching sun, he is fast asleep in the shade of a tree. His problem is not a lack of imagination. The failure lies in his complete inability to bridge the gap between envisioning the success and executing the friction-heavy labor required to build it. This contradiction catches the attention of his wise uncle, who visits the property and confronts the young man about the stark reality of his wasted, dusty acres compared to his boastful claims. The uncle hands him a single mango seed. This seed represents ambition. It is a highly fragile entity. To extract any value from it, the farmer must carefully plant it, protect it, and water it every single day. Then, the uncle hands him a handful of weed seeds. This is laziness. It requires zero effort and zero care. If left to its own devices, it naturally spreads and consumes its environment. Out of sheer boredom, the farmer carelessly tosses both sets of seeds into the dirt. He arrogantly assumes he can simply fix any resulting problems later, whenever he finally feels like working. Weeks later, the reality of that neglect sets in. Aggressive vines rapidly snake across the dirt, coiling around the fragile green ambition sprout and swallowing it whole. Laziness functions exactly like those weeds. It doesn't wait for permission. It simply fills every inch of ground that isn't actively defended. Seeing his dying ambition, the farmer panics. He decides to clear the entire ruined field in a single frenzied day, violently tearing weeds out of the dirt by hand. The physical toll is immediate. Within hours, his hands are bleeding, his back is agonizingly stiff, and he completely burns out before making a dent in the property. This graph illustrates a concept known as the willpower fallacy. We often believe a sharp spike of extreme effort can instantly cure years of long-term neglect. But biologically and psychologically, that sudden exertion is fragile. Motivation is a finite, rapidly depleting resource, leaving you stranded in a severe burnout phase. Relying on sheer motivation and brute force to achieve a grand ambition is a guaranteed recipe for failure. The uncle returns, but rather than judging the failure, he hands the farmer a wooden card. It contains 3 systematic rules designed specifically to outsmart the brain's natural resistance to hard work. Rule number 1 is to make it small. By shrinking the mountain down into non-threatening daily tasks, like pulling just 5 weeds instead of clearing an entire field, you bypass the brain's panic response. Rule number 2 is to create easy routines. By tying these small tasks to unavoidable daily anchors, like the sun rising and setting, you automate the behavior and reduce the need to rely on willpower. Rule number 3 is to be consistent with the first 2. Relentless repetition builds an independent momentum. Eventually, the routine itself carries you forward. The young farmer finally abandons his ego-driven fantasies. He stops talking about becoming rich and instead focuses his limited daily energy entirely on executing these 3 unglamorous rules. The human mind naturally resists massive, daunting tasks. Microsystems bypass that initial friction, making a massive goal feel like a series of inevitable small victories. Over time, the visual evidence of this routine begins to compound. 5 pulled weeds turn into 10. A neglected corner of the property clears up. The dying plant finally strengthens into a healthy sapling. Years later, the accumulated weight of those tiny daily choices is visible across the entire landscape. The once barren land is now filled with rows of golden mangoes, making the farmer the most respected man in his village. While the field changed, the most significant shift happened within the farmer himself. He had replaced the identity of a dreamer with the identity of someone who simply shows up. You are currently holding the exact same 2 seeds in your own life. Your ambitions aren't too large, and you aren't inherently flawed. You simply haven't utilized the invisible, compounding leverage of small, consistent action. Break the endless cycle of waiting for tomorrow. Take one microscopic, ridiculously easy step toward your goal today, right now.